Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something pretty special, something at the heart of, well, planning one of life's biggest events.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about capturing that experience, memories are key, right? So much of a big day, like a wedding, it's kind of fleeting. The flowers, the cake, they don't last.
Exactly. They're gone in a flash.
Yeah.
But the photos, they stick around. They're the proof it all happened.
That's it. They're forever. Which is why this deep dive feels so important. We're getting into, finding the right wedding photographer.
And specifically, we're zoning in on London. It's a vibrant scene, but let's be honest, it can be totally overwhelming too.
Totally. So our mission today is really to unpack some expert advice, some best practices to help you navigate all those choices.
Yeah, figure out what to expect, what you should really prioritize, and basically make sure your memories get captured beautifully, whatever your style.
Okay, let's dive in. Where do we start? The money, I guess.
Yeah, let's talk numbers first. Understanding the London pricing landscape is, well, it's essential. You're typically looking at a pretty big range. How big are we talking? It can go from around, say, £2,000, maybe a bit less, the very entry level, all the way up past £10,000.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference. What drives that? How do you make sense of that kind of spread?
Well, there are a few key things. First, there's the photographer's actual experience, how long they've been doing this, their reputation.
Right.
Then there's the scale of your wedding, how many hours they're needed, how many locations, guests,
Makes sense.
and then any extras. Things like, do you want an engagement shoot beforehand? Do you need a second photographer there on the day?
Oh, yeah, for different angles.
Exactly. Or maybe you're interested in actual film photography, the analog kind. Or perhaps a really high-end, like, heirloom album afterwards. All that adds up.
Okay, got it. And we've got an example here, right? Calvin Chintaka from Hitched and Capture.
Yes, he's a great example operating in that sort of premium bracket. His packages, they start around £4,500 and can climb up to £8,500 for the day.
Right, 4,500 and 8,500 pounds. So when you see figures like that, what are you actually getting for that level of investment?
With someone like Calvin, it reflects the whole package. The scope of the wedding coverage,
Yeah.
maybe including pre-wedding events like a welcome dinner,
Mm-hmm.
whether you opt for that analog film approach, which has its own costs and, a very distinct look.
That sort of timeless feel.
Precisely. And those really premium heirloom quality albums, they're built to last generations using top-notch materials.
Okay.
But fundamentally, why someone like him is in that bracket comes down to, I'd say, three things you see with most top-tier photographers. Extensive experience,
Mm-hmm.
a really distinct artistic style,
Mm-hmm.
and this is interesting, what clients often call a really calming presence.
A calming presence. Okay, we definitely need to circle back to that. But first, experience. You mentioned it's key.
Absolutely. Because look, a beautiful portfolio, it grabs your attention, right? That's often the first hook.
For sure. You see the amazing shots and think, wow.
Exactly. But the real value often lies deeper in their experience. The best photographers, they bring this professionalism, this quiet confidence. They know how to handle things when inevitably things get a bit pressured on the day.
Right, managing those little moments of chaos that can pop up.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of experience, what should you look for? Well, Calvin Chidaka's background is pretty impressive on this front.
What's his story?
Over 10 years in the game, but also academically, he's got a BA and an MA in fashion photography, both from the University of the Arts London.
Yeah, hold on. BA and MA in fashion photography. That's interesting. How does that translate to weddings? They seem like quite different worlds.
You'd think so, but it gives him what people describe as an editorial eye.
Editorial eye. What does that mean in a wedding context?
It means he approaches the wedding day almost like a story for a magazine. He's thinking about the composition, the light, the narrative flow between images, not just capturing random moments.
Ah, okay. Like telling a visual story.
Precisely. It's an eye honed in the fashion world, which is demanding, fast-paced. But crucially, he pairs that sort of high fashion sensibility with a really warm, grounded personality.
Right, which must help couples relax, because not everyone's a model.
Exactly. It helps people feel comfortable, confident, not awkward in front of the lens.
Mm.
And that blend artistry, plus making people feel at ease, that's something you really want to look for in any experienced photographer.
That makes a lot of sense. Knowing their background helps you understand their style. Okay, so back to the money side, but slightly different angle. What's included in the price?
Yes, this is super important.
Because it's easy to see a lower headline number and think, great, but then maybe find out later that, I don't know, you have to pay extra for the digital files or for decent retouching.
Absolutely. Or travel costs might not be included if your venue is outside their usual zone. The advice here is crystal clear. Always get clarity on exactly what's in that quote.
No hidden surprises later.
You want total transparency up front. So for instance, with Calvin's packages, they often bundle things together. Coverage of pre-wedding stuff, maybe both digital and analog film if that's what you want.
Right.
A high-quality album included, not as an add-on later. A proper pre-shoot consultation, maybe even creating a mood board together so you're both on the same page visually.
Okay, that sounds comprehensive. And those fashion-inspired editorial edits you mentioned earlier?
Yes, those are usually part of his signature style, so they're factored in. It's about the whole journey, the whole story.
Which ties perfectly into the next point, doesn't it? The personal side of things, aligning on style and personality.
Hugely important.
I mean, this person is going to be with you pretty much all day during some really intimate, emotional moment.
Right there beside you. So yeah, that connection, that personality fit, it's absolutely crucial. It's more than just hiring someone for a job.
It's almost like choosing another member of the wedding party, in a way.
It can feel like that. You want someone whose artistic vision clicks with yours, obviously, but also whose general vibe, whose presence, fits the kind of energy you want on your day.
Yeah, definitely.
And Calvin actually puts this quite well himself. He says something like, "To me, your wedding day isn't just an event, it's a once-in-a-lifetime story. I approach it with care, creativity, and a calm presence that helps you feel comfortable, confident, and completely yourself."
Comfortable, confident, and completely yourself. That sounds ideal. But I wonder, that editorial eye we talked about, could that feel a bit intimidating or staged for people who aren't used to cameras?
That's a fair question. And that's where the skill comes in, I think.
How so?
Well, someone like Calvin, the skill lies in gently guiding couples, suggesting poses that are flattering and natural so you don't feel stiff or awkward.
Okay, so some direction, but not forced.
Exactly. But then, just as importantly, knowing when to step back and capture the real unscripted stuff. The in-between moments. The genuine laughter, the quick glances, the hugs.
Ah, the candid stuff.
Yes. That's what really tells the story and shows the couple's true connection. So it's a blend, really. Getting those beautiful, perhaps slightly directed shots, but also capturing the pure, authentic emotion.
That sounds like the sweet spot. Guidance plus authenticity.
And that guidance, that ability to make people feel comfortable,
Yeah.
it leads us back to that thing you mentioned earlier, the calm presence.
Right, the underrated superpower.
Totally. Because a photographer needs to be more than just artistic. They need to be like an anchor of calm in the middle of what can be a wonderfully chaotic day.
I can imagine. I've heard stories of photographers helping with buttonholes or just gently guiding guests.
Oh, yeah. They can really bring a sense of peace to a potentially hectic wedding morning. They can help manage the timeline without being bossy, keep things moving without adding stress.
Yeah, trying to round up family for photos can be stressful enough.
Tell me about it. So having a photographer who is calm, confident, and just handles it, that's worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely. So how can a couple actually figure this out beforehand? It's hard to judge calmness from a portfolio or even just one meeting, maybe.
That's a good point. It is tricky, but you can look for clues. Obviously, the initial consultation call or meeting gives you a vibe,
Sure.
but definitely read client testimonials carefully. Look for mentions of their demeanor, how they handled the day, how they made people feel.
Look for keywords like calm, reassuring, professional.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask the photographer if you can speak to one or two past clients. A quick chat can give you a real sense of their on-the-day presence.
Good tip.
And yeah, this calm, confident approach is something people consistently praise about Calvin. They talk about how he creates this space where they can just relax and be themselves. And guess what? That relaxation shines through in the photos.
It makes total sense. If you feel good, you look good.
Pretty much. So pulling this all together, what does someone like Hitched and Captured by Kelvin Shintaka represent? And what should you maybe look for more broadly?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
Well, he stands out as a really good example for couples who want that specific blend. The high-level fashion photography skill, that beautiful editorial storytelling, but delivered with that warmth, that grounded, calm presence.
So it's a combination.
It's the combination. He shows how investing in that mix of experience, unique style, and the right personality can seriously elevate the whole experience and the final photos.
So it's really way beyond just like clicking a shutter. It's about crafting a narrative.
Absolutely. His work and the work of photographers at that level isn't just documentation. It's transforming the day into something, well, timeless, almost cinematic,
Yeah.
that really reflects who the couple are.
Capturing the essence, not just the event itself.
You got it. And doing it with a level of calm professionalism that actually reduces stress on a day that can already have plenty of it.
That sounds like a pretty valuable investment.
It really is. An
Yeah.
investment in art, yes, but also in memory and, honestly, in your own peace of mind on the day.
Which leads us to a final thought to leave you with. Consider this. On a day filled with so many beautiful, tangible things, the venue, the dress, the food, perhaps the most priceless investment isn't just in the physical photos you get back. Maybe it's also in those intangible qualities of the person taking them. That calming presence, that skilled eye, that ability to turn fleeting moments, maybe even nervous energy, into a story that feels serene, confident, and truly authentic. So what intangible qualities do you value most when it comes to capturing life's biggest moments? Something to think about.